Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Melissa Siegel and I'm a professor of migration studies, and this is a channel all about migration. So today I'm continuing the series on country case studies, specifically looking at the case of Mexico. And right now I'm going to look at what does migration look like in Mexico today. If you're interested in the history of migration to Mexico, I'll link that in the description below, and you'll also find it up here in an info card. If you're interested in the history and current migration policy in Mexico, you can also find that linked in the description below, and I'll also put that up here. So let's just jump right in and look at what migration looks like in Mexico today. All right, so now we're going to look at the stocks of migrants in Mexico. So while Mexico is actually often considered an emigration country, so a country where migrants are mainly leaving the country, there actually are migrants also in the country. And while the majority of migrants leaving the country go to the United States, what's interesting is that also the largest number of migrants also in Mexico are from the United States. They're often retirees from the United States. But you also see other countries, especially in Central America and South America, so Guatemala, but then also Spain, probably really because of the historical history there, Colombia, Venezuela, Argentina, Honduras, Cuba, El Salvador, France also, and then other countries. So this just gives you a good snapshot of what the immigration situation looks like in Mexico. Now, if we turn to this next pie chart, this shows you the population of immigrants. So where are the majority of immigrants in the world today? And by far, the majority of immigrants in the world today are in the United States. Around 97% of all immigrants are actually in the United States. But there are also people in Canada, Spain, Guatemala, Germany, France, the United Kingdom, Bolivia, Italy, Switzerland, and others, but it's really mainly a story of migration from Mexico to the United States. Interestingly, also this, what we call migration corridor, is also the largest in the world. So the movement of people from Mexico to the United States is larger than any other movement between two countries in the world. Now, this is not measured on flows, so it's not measured on the number of people moving each year. It's measured on the stock of people from one country to the next. But as you can see very clearly in this graph from the International Organization for Migration, the Mexican-US corridor is by far the largest in the world. Now, what is interesting is that there are often a lot of discussions about Mexicans coming to the United States, but what we've actually seen is really that after the 2008 financial crisis, more Mexicans have actually left the United States than have arrived, leading to a reduction in the population of Mexicans in the United States. And this is something that is not often reported and not often discussed. But in general now, there are fewer Mexicans entering the United States than leaving the United States. Here, if we look at now the foreign-born immigration in the United States by country of residence, you basically see a similar trend. So while Mexicans were usually the ones that were the largest in any given year, you're seeing that this is changing now over time. So the flow of migrants is changing to the United States, and you don't see as large of a flow of Mexicans anymore. If you're interested in the difference between migrant stocks and migration flows, please check out my other video where I discuss that, linked up here, and I'll put it in the description below also. Now moving on, if we look at the current Mexican immigrant population in the United States by the way that they have entered the United States in 2019. So this is also looking at lawful permanent residents. So this does not include irregular migrants. You can see that the majority of Mexicans in the United States that have gained lawful permanent residence have done this through family channels. So they have done it through family sponsored preferences and through immediate relatives of US citizens and who are living in the US. So you can see that the employment-based preferences is much less. They're not eligible for the diversity visas at the moment. So really the most important pathway for Mexicans is through family ties. if they want to receive lawful permanent residence in the United States. Here you can, in this graph, you can also see the demographic breakdown by age in 2017. And what you can see here is that really the migration to the United States is dominated by that working age group between 18 and 64. If we also look at level of education, so in this graph from the Pew Hispanic Center, you can actually see the difference in the entire US born population and how their education is broken down, then all foreign born, how that education is broken down, and then what it looks like from migration from Mexico. And what you see here is that migration from Mexico is really dominated by lower skilled, less educated migrants. So 54% of migrants to the United States actually have less than high school education, which is different than the general population in the United States and also different to other groups in the US. Then if we look at where Mexicans are generally employed, you can see that they are more highly concentrated in service occupations and in natural resources, construction, and maintenance occupations. However, we do also see them in production, transportation, and material moving occupations. There's also a little bit in management, business science, and arts occupations, and a little bit in sales and office occupations, but they're really more dominant in other occupations. Now, of course, an important byproduct of migration is remittances. So remittances are the money that are sent back by migrants to their countries of origin, generally to family, friends, and sometimes also to their origin communities. And in this graph here, you can see the evolution of remittances sent to Mexico by Mexicans in the United States from around 1980 to current times. And this is information from the World Bank. You can see that there was a large increase in remittances really from around the early 2000s, then dropping off when the financial crisis hit, and have then kind of rebounded again since around 2015 and have been increasing. Of course, we'll have to see the situation that develops now with COVID. We already know that the World Bank estimates a serious decrease in remittances in 2020 and in 2021, so we will have to see how that unfolds. Then if we look at transit irregular migration by countries of origin here, you will see that for the first time on record, Mexicans actually did not account the largest single country of origin in 2019 for apprehensions at the US border. The Northern Triangle countries of El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras basically together accounted for 71% of all apprehensions in that time period. The 607,774 apprehensions from these three countries outnumber the total number from Mexico, even though their combined population is only 32.6 million, and that's a quarter of Mexico's population. However, in 2020, the closure of borders because of COVID-19 appears to have affected the profile of those who are currently being apprehended. So we'll really have to see how things develop there. Now, if we look at these apprehensions on the southwest US border by demographic category, what you really see is that prior to 2019, it was mainly single adults who were being apprehended. There were some unaccompanied children, and there were also some persons in family units, so families also migrating. In 2019, this was really more, we saw more and more, especially Central Americans, migrating in family units to the United States. So you see the profile in 2019 looking quite different than in the previous years that was mainly dominated by single adults. We've also seen a fall in apprehensions at the border because of COVID-19. So in this graph here, you can see major differences between, for instance, the year 2000, 2019, and now in 2020, with a severe drop off of apprehensions at the border since March and April. We'll again have to see how this develops in the future. I think we have to, of course, COVID-19 is something that is affecting all of our lives and is definitely affecting migration situations all around the world. And that is no different also for the case of Mexico. So we'll have to see how this develops. I hope this has given you an idea of what's been going on currently and the current migration situation in Mexico. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Ask questions, give me your comments also in the comment section, and I'll definitely try to address those. I hope to see you next time at other videos. Take care. Bye-bye.